is here. We're seeing AL ban out this Aurora, even though they've been so good with it. Don't want to give that over to NIP early.
Yeah, there are a couple of power picks that are still on the table. I think notably for me, Varus still surviving this long into
for now,
pick ban. Yeah, I think if he's not banned here, I would imagine that kind of should be the priority. Leave is a very good Varus player, and it offers a lot of flexibility. The main counter to it in Sivir is now off the board because of game number 2. Would make a lot of sense as a first pick if they wanted to go in that direction.
Yeah, this lets you have one of these team fight compositions too. Another one that's like, oh, at level 6, we spike really hard. We have like bot lane priority too. I think it would be a pretty good one. It looks like NIP's in the tank about this one a little bit. And they're going to lock in a B1 Renekton. I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure if that's the move.
Certainly a bit of a question mark for me. Solokill certainly can play the Renekton, but I don't like Renekton into Varus. I think that's still kind of a difficult thing to play out as long as your team ends up healing for you, if you are just leaving that up for Hope. And I think more relevant than maybe the matchup itself is just how much Hope got to play Varus at the beginning of this year when this team was finding success. This was kind of a go-to for AL. And again, I can't make the point enough that kind of the main counter to it, or at least the thing that people feel comfortable with in the Sivir, that you can spell shield a lot of the damage, and generally you push into the Varus to not allow it to take over. It's gone. This is going to be a difficult lane matchup, and that champion's going to scale.
One of his signature champions gets locked in, and that opens the door for a lot for AL. They could always end up picking a Karma with it, or you could end up going for Engage and having a strong level 6. This would be really great to enable this Trundle here and really prevent any full tank picks coming out from NIP.
Love Trundle in this situation. I think Trundle is very strong on the current patch, and I think it perfectly fits what Tarzan wants to do with the game. It can skirmish, but for the most part, it's there to make sure the team has as easy of a time as possible, taking a lot of these objectives and playing around a lot of these small, close-quarter skirmishes. You are giving up something like the Taliyah, though, over to Doinb. We talked about it. There are 2 directions to go. Giving him a macro threat is very dangerous, and you're pairing it with the Wukong, something we don't often see as a duo in the mid-jungle.
Yeah, and I think a big reason why is Trundle is so good against Xin Zhao until you get really late into the game where you're just kind of out-utility him a little bit. But early on, I mean, he is just so good into that champion, and it just feels like it'd be a really difficult pick to kind of deal with. And speaking of difficult picks, I mean, this is going to be tough for Shanks, right? You're going to have to walk over the Taliyah Legos. You're going to have to walk through a Cyclone from Wukong. It's going to be tough, but he's had a lot of good performances on this champion, so we're going to see him go back to it.
I have made this point quite clear on multiple of my casts across this and previous splits. I do not think the Akali into Taliyah matchup is good at all. LPL players continuously opt into it, so clearly they know something that I don't. But it's a matchup that I do think is quite difficult for Akali to really function in, at least as much as she would want. You want to play with this Trundle, you want to get moving. I think it's a bit more difficult to do that into a champion that not only shoves you in, but really negates a lot of your aggressive tendencies in the early game. But again, it does come down to how Shanks plays it. We see some bans coming out now. Misfortune is actually going to be the ban. Does make sense to start to take away some of these options that might be more aggressive in the 2v2. There are some very interesting supports left up that could be paired with Varus. Some common ones, some not so common ones. I'm not making the Pyke call out just yet, but certainly, is something to keep in mind. There are plenty of directions that AL can go in to complete this comp.
Looks like the direction again is toward that bot lane, as you mentioned, and now you got to do whatever you can to make sure that your lanes aren't getting pushed in, so Tarzan has room to operate and not get disrupted. He hasn't really had any issues with getting disrupted throughout this series so far. I can't imagine that's really going to change. Rakan getting taken off the board. No surprise, given the fact that you've got some potent team fighting with the Wukong, and NIP are running out of options to add more to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're really setting up the identity for what you want to try and force NIP into, and that's limiting their options outside of Wukong, basically diving your backline. You already don't really have a dive follower with Taliyah. It's going to be more difficult to be able to pilot that, and so you want to make sure that this just turns into a comp that, oh, well, you want to play through mid-game? That's fine. We'll have everything else, and I think the Rel in particular would really enable it, but yeah, Renata,
Kaiser Renata, please. I think this is really good here. They might just go with the Nautilus because it's the best combo with Kai'Sa, but I think a Renata would be so hard for AL to play into. They're going to go with the Nautilus, opting to go with that dive, go with a bit more of an aggressive tilt to target out some of these champions that can't really protect themselves, like the Akali, like the Trundle. We're going to see Jace get locked in for Flandre, a signature champion of his, into this Renekton. We've got a lot of poke on the side of AL, but they are tying together this game with string. It's Kael and it's Hope's ultimate that are the only ways that AL has at getting any sort of concordant fight together. Meanwhile, for NIP, I mean, this team is so synergistic.
How do you fight NIP in the mid game if you are AL? Like where is your like Jace is gonna hopefully be in an okay spot, but Jace into Renekton, while you can pressure out early, you know, theoretically that Renekton should be fine. I really like this draft for NIP. I think as long as they're able to generate leads individually in their own lanes, they actually should be able to push forward. You've got the dive component, of course, with the Wukong, Kai'Sa, Nautilus kind of trio, but you also have the macro threat that comes in with Taliyah and even Kai'Sa with that long range engage. You have plenty of different options for being able to control the map. I think AL is going to need to make sure that this Trundle is in a great spot in the early game. If Tarzan falls behind, which he hasn't yet, you know, it could be a bit of a problem.
The name of the game for NIP, fight on your power spikes. You leverage Taliyah's ability to make global plays happen. Wait until you got your Trinity Force from Wukong. Wait until you have your upgraded Q out of your Kai'Sa. And over on the other side for AL, you have to think that this team really needs grubs with Jace, with Akali side laning, with Trundle. Like, this is something that they must take care of.
Yeah, I mean, this comp is a siege comp. Make no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They are looking to take turrets here today. If they can get those resources and get them onto the right targets, they could have a chance.
欢迎来到英雄联盟。敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎。
Jio is ringing out just a bit here. So we're even up at one apiece in this series, Kman. The NIP fighting very, very hard. This is their chance. They've been the better team, I think, through 2 games.
It's all well and good to be the better team through 2 games. We'll see if they can be the better team through 3 as we continue to push forward here. Again, I think you were spot on. Their power spikes are so clear. NIP's direction in this game is very, very obvious. If they can get to that point and utilize their cooldowns to the fullest extent, they're going to be in a pretty good spot. There is a very small window, though, here in the early game where I think AL could potentially look for some danger. Not going to be anything crazy, though, just going to be same side starts coming in here, as I believe both junglers are going to relatively be on the same pathway.
Both supports taking Summoner Spellbook, and I think it's going to matter a lot more in this particular lane because Kai'Sa Nautilus, one of the few Kai'Sa lanes that can really get aggressive early and fight really, really well. And we'll see how things shake out, as we're already seeing a little bit of trading going on. Leave taking the rough end of it. He will not be able to trigger that plasma.
Pretty standard 2v2 exchange here. We've seen so many resources burned to just get pressure, and Niket might be looking to do the same as Hope is kind of pushed out of this wave. Luckily, with that range he has, it should be just fine for him. Really like these lane states overall for NIP. I think they should be in a good spot to be able to really push forward in most circumstances. We actually see some of the win rates there. Hope 0 and 1. Don't let that fool you. This guy played a ton of Varus at the beginning of the year when this team was really finding a lot of success. Even if he hasn't played it as much here in Split 3, certainly a pick to watch out for AL.
We saw Tarzan 4 and 1 on that Trundle. That's going to be a really big one. And obviously, a lot of this game on his shoulders. A lot of the series has really been on his shoulders. He had that large lead in Game 1 that he couldn't convert on. The large lead in Game 2 that took a while to convert on, but finally did. And now, here in Game 3, having another carry champion, doesn't really have a ton of tools to enable him. He's going to have to play these fights damn well.
Definitely going to need to. a lot rests on his shoulders, on his very important shoulders in this game. But for NIP, I think it's really just about staying the course. I think when you're talking about, you know, their setups are good. they were better for, you know, 20 minutes of that previous game. They made a pretty consequential error, and then it all kind of comes crumbling down. Tarzan just gets a bit too much gold, and things kind of break down. But
all right,
here
we go.
Potential mistakes like this.
Yeah, first gank here. Doinb is out of mana. Naiyou coming through, trying to help out. Big pillar, forcing the flash into Doinb. Naiyou trying to fight in the 2v1. Looking for Tarzan. Flashes on him, gets first blood. Will Shanks be able to clean him up? Shanks flashes, gets the kill. He's got double buffs, and he won't be able to get Doinb, but he trades out.
Yeah, that is a really consequential exchange because of the gold specifically going on to Shanks. First blood, though, going to Naiyou. That's very, very nice for NIP. It's all really just about what you can do with the Wukong. Kael is here mid lane along with Niket to at least safely guard this teleport back into the lane, make sure these mid laners are in as safe of a spot as possible. They could be looking for more.
Oh, nice job there by Kael to avoid the seismic shove, but he's still going to get hooked. The heal is going to be used. Shanks is going to stick around. He wants a piece of this. Niket forced to flash away. Shanks continuing to go, using the shuriken flip to try to leave. He's getting hit by a lot of rocks, and he's able to dodge out of the seismic shove.
Ooh, a very close exchange there. If Shanks had gotten hit by anything, he probably instantly dies. Well played by him to be able to escape on the Akali. But again, it's all this aggression being put into the mid lane, and yet the Akali is still in a great spot. Simply in a better spot here.
Seismic shove.
Land.
Yep, here comes Niket trying to get in. Now you have to just guess, where is Shanks? Niket does not have flash. Looks like Solokill's starting to walk up here. Shanks is going to walk right into the Angry Crocodile. He's got double buffs. He has to make sure that they don't go to a really good target here, and it looks like they just will. It's a matter of who's actually going to get it. Shanks wasting as much time as he possibly can out of these guys. He will finally fall to Naiyou.
It is a solo kill, though, pun not intended, as the Renekton catches the wave under bot tier 1. Definitely one of the better case scenarios. Yes, it's giving a kill over to Wukong and giving him back double buffs, which is never ideal. Now you have a 2-kill Naiyou staring you down on that Wukong with all of that engage, but buying so much time for the rest of your team to be able to shove those waves in is really positive, as Niket made his way to the top side now, and we do get that very early swap here for the bot lanes going up top.
Yep, still 2 minutes until grubs are up. This dragon's up on the bottom side, but looks like it'll go untouched for a little bit of time. I think one of the big things about Naiyou picking up those first 2 kills is, look, he's already got his Phage. He's got money in the bank right now. He's going to get really close to this Trinity Force early on.
Yes.
Niket walking into an unwarded bush here. He will have a shield and his hook to get him to the wall, but taking so much damage.
Yeah, that's a lot coming in here. You do not want to be Nautilus walking into all of this AL damage for free. Varus is still going to be a massive problem. We have highlighted Hope, but for good reason, and that's because he is so important towards this comp for AL, and he has been so important for this team's success across this year. But we can see Dragon started up here by AL. They have full control over this river. Grub's still a minute and a half away. This should be a free objective for AL as long as they want it.
Yep, again, not a team that really has to worry too much about scaling. They have a lot of this early power. Obviously, Leave is going to take a little bit of time to get into the game. So, again, any free objectives you can get, sure, they do come at a little bit of cost of tempo. But this is just generally good here for AL. They're able to pick up the first, especially the Ocean Dragon. It does carry a lot of weight in the early game when you're still laning.
Yeah, I think people sometimes underestimate the value of those individual dragons that you can get early on, but certainly Ocean is one you're going to feel in a lot of these small exchanges, especially for these two teams that kind of want to play these fights a bit slower with the way that they have their comps set up. So we will see exactly how they want to utilize that. For now, it's just waiting that 45 seconds for those grubs to spawn. I imagine that will be the next major objective that these teams want to converge on.
Solokill down a little bit of experience, down a lot of CS right now as Flandre, again, so good on this Jace pick. You know, the tank Jace, he was excellent on it. Bit of a pioneer with it. Obviously, it's not the build anymore, but he still knows how to pilot the champion.
Definitely does know how to make it work. We will see exactly how much they can make it work in this game, because, again, everything is just so knife's edgy for these two teams that you can't really afford to make a lot of the mistakes that have been made pretty consistently throughout the series in terms of positioning and really throughout the year for both of these teams. We do see the convergence happening now onto grubs. Will be AL, at least in the area first. Hope and Kael are making their way down. potentially be a trap.
This is a problem. This is a problem. They are really, really out of sorts right now as they're going all in on Niket. Niket doesn't have his ultimate. Solokill's forced out to Shanks. Get into this backline, but he got knocked up. He couldn't fight through it. Feet of Warfare to NIP, and they're looking for more. Double knock-up. Hope got hooked. Leave got to the backline, but it's a 3v3. Tarzan chasing down Leave. He's trying to get away. Slice, Dice, dead. Takes him out. 3v2. Solokill looking for more. Naiyou looking for more. The stun's on to Solokill. He's able to sustain for a little bit longer, and Kael can't get out of there either. NIP win up another big fight.
Massive win there for NIP. Gold going on perfect targets, but we talk about getting to power spikes, getting to important metrics for the team. Well, I think NIP just did exactly that with the amount of gold that went in their pocket. They should be able to pick up all 3 of the grubs in this exchange. It's just not a good fight for AL. Tarzan is grossly out of position throughout a majority of this on the Trundle. We're going to get a chance to see it. Shanks obviously not accomplishing much either. Actually looks like AL might be able to pressure them off, getting only 2 of the grubs here for NIP. That's actually a huge turn and certainly does make the play at least a bit more bearable.
Yeah, but this is really fantastic for NIP. We talked about how... Oh, Doinb's stuck! Doinb's stuck! Kael is coming! Doinb has his flash. He's going to use it a little late, but it's going to allow time for the rest of the team to get there. He's still alive. Niket is coming through. He dodges out, but the hook is missed. Kael will die on the backside. Weaver's wall coming down, cuts off Hope, and it was just a clever bait by Doinb.
It's all calculated. That's the world champ difference for Doinb in that play. You shouldn't be able to get away with that. You should not be able to get away with getting caught by that Trundle pillar, but they just don't have the damage to burst through him, and this game has gone from kind of okay to pretty bad to very, very bad very quickly. Niket looks like he's completely caught out of position. He's stunned into oblivion throughout this fight, but Solokill immediately diving and creating that space onto the backline is hugely important. Once Shanks goes in, Naiyou realizes he has to pop the ultimate immediately, but that's the counter. That's the Wukong into Akali matchup. That's why this is so difficult for the Akali. Once Naiyou ends up getting the second knockup onto 2, Lee feels comfortable to dive the backline, and at this point Tarzan can't do anything. He ends up getting stunned, and the damage comes through, and that Trundle's certainly not tanky enough to do anything just yet. And then we're gonna get a replay of this play as well. Doinb just stepping up too far, missing a lot of his combo. Tarzan does trap him in the wall, but there's no teammates around. Hope takes a second to get here, and the flash is burned. It looks like it's going to be too late with Kael following up, but because the arrow goes wide, he has just enough health to survive. And who's there but the Avengers? The rest of ninjas in pajamas to be able to salvage the play and get a double kill for me.
Yeah, you can see all smiles right now over on the NIP coaching staff. 8 kills to 3 and 11 minutes in, Kman. 1,000 gold lead. A 4-1-4 Wukong who has Trinity Force. Leaves also on his first item. Remember, we said they should fight on these spikes. 30 seconds until this dragon is up, and I think it's a death wish if AL walk in.
Yeah, I mean, great call out on the spikes. They've hit them. The spikes are here. We have arrived at the point in the game where they need to fight and where they will dominate. Basically, any exchange that they go for, the power of Kaisa Wukong at this point in the game is strong, and Naiyou's showing it.
He's a level down. He doesn't really care. The subjugate, though, makes this a little bit more difficult than you'd initially think, but the problem is Tarzan is just on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, Solokill is collapsing down. Tarzan realizes it's probably best to just give this a solo kill. Again, pun not intended.
Is he gonna execute?
There's no way.
I think he is.
Does he have the time? Oh, the smite!
Smited him like a minion, bro.
Absolutely
hang on.
Hilarious stuff. Yeah, no, Leaf's getting his back stopped. This is kind of a scary situation for the Kaisa.
Oh,
Doesn't
flash
matter.
play! Flash play onto the Varus here as Hope is in trouble. He's going to get knocked up with the depth charge. The root did come out from the Chains of Corruption, but you can't sidestep everything. Doinb gets his first.
It's a nightmare for anyone's legend. They are crumbling across the map. Shanks is going to be able to get some gold on the bottom here, but Dragon has spawned and your team is completely in disarray. Hope is still dead. Naiyou is in a great spot with that Triforce completed. 5-1-4 on this Wukong. 3-0-3 as well for Leave. See if they want to pressure over this Dragon. I cannot imagine a world where AL can compete in this fight, but Leave yet to back.
Yeah, and not only that, Naiyou doesn't have Flash anymore, which will make a Cyclone a little bit harder. They spent that timer that they could have used on Dragon to go and kill Tarzan. So time will tell if that's worth it. We're seeing Flandre and Solokill go at it right now with the Dominus pop. means that solo kill really isn't going to be a factor for this dragon fight, given the fact that no TP means that I don't think he was going to in the first place. It's AL. They have purchase of the river right now. They're starting up this dragon. And Leave is at half HP. He can't join.
Yeah, no, this is a really awkward fight for NIP. It's already down to 2K.
Yeah, they gave this away. They used the dragon timer to kill the Tarzan, and AL now has 2 dragons.
Okay, well, there's your avenue back into the game for anyone's legend. It is going to be Cloud Soul on the Rift here. That is valuable for, you know, an Akali, a Varus, a Trundle. Those are very valuable champions to have that Cloud Soul. And utilizing that pressure, they're just going to siege down this bot lane tier 1. They're going to pick up the first turret, and, you know, they're going to actually pull back quite a bit of gold from this play.
Yeah, no doubt. And now they've got the lead on the feats, essentially. We're going to see what happens with this Rift Herald in a minute. Doinb and Naiyou trying to do what they can, but they just don't push nearly as hard as the other guys. And now it's going to be up to Niket and Solokill in this 3v2, trying to shove these guys off. Niket going to use his Ghost, get close to Shanks, but this turret is gone. And that's a lot of carries for AL, getting a lot of gold. But
Leave is here.
we could see a fight break out. We're seeing Naiyou solo mission on the top side to take this turret.
This is what I was calling out in draft when it came to anyone's Legends comp. They siege towers ridiculously fast. That really is kind of the point of this draft, is they need to make sure they're confident in side lanes and pushing forward. They are going to trade the tier 2s on opposite sides of the map, but overall, this is a good trade for AL to open things up and allow them to move around a bit more freely. See if they can take full advantage of it, but certainly not a play that I think they're going to be too frustrated by.
And now it's really up to Naiyou to carry this game. He's up 2,000 gold right now. He's probably going to get close to that second item, and everything is on his shoulders. If he misplays in any way, shape, or form, if he chooses an incorrect target, it's going to be very difficult for NIP to actually take over these fights now because of all the gold they got on key members for the side of AL.
It definitely becomes a bit more difficult. I will give them a bit of benefit of the doubt, though. It really just comes down to can Leave free hit. The moment he starts to hit that second, third item power spike, all of those problems become a little bit less important, especially if you are able to control the map. And so we find ourselves once again in a game state where it could go either way, Yanni. We've been asking for fun back and forth games. They are delivering in this series as Tarzan seemingly starts up the Rift Herald.
All right, it's going to reset as NIP are desperately trying to find a way in, but Flandre's poke is really starting to hurt a little bit. He only has the Spear of Shojin, but it is still putting in some work. Doinb's going to restart this Rift Herald here. A little bit of vision down, enough so that AL know what's going on, as we're still ping-ponging waves in the mid lane. Leave is a little low. I mean, every Varus arrow that hits, every J Shock Blast is just more than NIP can handle at times.
I mean, that's the thing. The poke on AL's comp is ridiculous. If they're able to just stand here,
we
the
go.
interrupt!
There we go. Knockup is there too. Niket is very low. Leave wants in. He ults, but he can't find Kael. Solo kill. Forced to flash away topside. Wait, Weaver's wall coming through. A new challenger approaches, and it's Doinb. He'll force the flash out of Shanks.
Oh, a lot of chaos happening, Yanni. A lot of things going back and forth. AL are trying to siege down this mid lane tower, but it's...
Oh, wait, Leave's in trouble. He's forced the flash. Solo kill, teleports in, and man, so many summoners getting burnt here. AL fighting very hard.
Oh, this game is picking up in terms of the action that we are getting. Both teams really looking to make their mark known. Herald's still the only objective to take on the map as we get a small replay of what happened on the top side here for this 1v1. The almost 1v1, I should say, for Shanks. But it's Rift Herald that's in control of NIP with all of that momentum moved out of the other way. This is down to 3K. There's no smite.
Yeah, Niket doesn't have smite. The eye is on the wrong side. I mean, can Kael keep this aggroed? He's not going to be able to. And here comes the rest of NIP, but Doinb's at below half. He has no teleport.
There is so much happening right now on the Rift. A greedy play after greedy play happening for both of these teams, but it will just be the reset. I think amongst all the chaos, we've kind of forgotten this is a 3K gold lead for Ninjas in Pyjamas as they continue to push forward. But look at those item spikes. That's where you can feel it. Second item Kai'Sa, second item Wukong. Those are really important for this upcoming fight. And right now, it makes it very difficult for AL to feel comfortable in these 5v5s. We'll see if they still want to opt in.
Should have that upgraded Q for Leave, and you know he's hitting hard and he's hitting fast. And he's hitting that Rift Herald. Here we go. Kael went in. Here's a hook going down. Niket's going to absorb that engage, and he's going to be able to flash out. That is Herald secured for NIP.
Yeah, AL trying to play both worlds here, understanding they can't go in and full engage because they lose the fight, wanting to try and take the mid lane tower, but Solokill doing a great job to negate that as well. Dragon spawning in 10 seconds. That's the next major objective. That's sole point for AL, and IP immediately using the Herald for pressure.
Yeah, and it's such a good soul for them too because they have to run at NIP. So this would be really, really big for AL if they're able to secure it. Naiyou's going to drive this into the turret, but it's going to get pillared off. It's a nice job there by Tarzan. It still gets NIP what they wanted. They have river control.
Yeah, they are immediately going to start up on this Dragon. We will see how much AL wants to commit to this. I have a very hard time believing that they would have any chance in this fight if they went for it.
Tarzan looking to find a way and puts down his domain. Niket misses a hook, and he's getting engaged on. He will fall, but it's a trade for the Dragon. Wait, NIP, this is aggressive movement here. Jace Shock Blast will force them off. Remember, they've got great push on the side of AL. They might be able to take this turret. Doinb's going to put down the Reaver's wall, though, and save the mid lane turret.
Lots of chaos happening. It's clear Niket is just giving his life in order to secure that Dragon. Teleport coming in here, though. It's Nautilus, so it will just be pressure on the map. I feel like we finally
flower.
might have hit... yes, a flower as well.
It was a big flower.
Understate. Yes, and you can feed that. You can see that in the fact that Niket is almost the same level as Kael on the other side of this. But as we move forward, we're not done with objectives, Yanni. We are looking at a 15-second Otacon timer. Flandre by himself down on the bottom side here, but that is the next major objective. And with the chaos that we've seen already in this game, in this series, somehow I don't imagine that that's going to be given over without a fight.
The one worry that I have for NIP here is they really haven't expanded their lead. You know, this is their bread and butter. You get Naiyou on a carry, you get Leave on a hyper carry, but because you're not expanding your lead, you're still sort of waiting for Kaisa to really hit that critical mass. The 2 items is great. Like, you're going to be really happy with that. You can definitely fight and you have play here, but it is worrisome that you're still not at the point where it's an overwhelmingly favored fight for you unless Naiyou is hitting these big cycles.
Certainly is kind of scary. I think your engage is okay, but honestly, I think this is a team that really would thrive in a side lane that wants to play around Talia's macro, and Wukong and Renekton being able to push these waves quickly can become a bit more difficult when you're looking at another comp that actually does really well into those side lanes, maybe from a bit further range. So again, I think the important thing here is just making sure that whatever decision you commit to is commit to, and that everything else is secondary. You don't want to get caught in between trying to make a couple of plays, something that NIP has been on the unfortunate end of multiple times this year.
Something that Leave has been on the unfortunate end of multiple times this year. He has been a guy that has been called out around this time in the game. He does have Cleanse, and there's not too many pick tools for AL, but he has been much maligned with his positioning at times. There's one thing to watch out for is we're going to see a global play here with the Weaver's Wall, but Shanks is able to get over the other side of the wall.
Yeah, it's tough, because that's kind of your main tool for at least pressuring things out. It allows you to start up the Otacon, but it certainly doesn't separate the fight. Solokill's by himself. He's going to get to this fight last.
Leave's got big damage on it, but right now Leave is kind of not with the rest of his team. Teleport's coming in from Solokill on the flank side. Kael going to get big engage. Leave flashing away toward his teammate. Otacon is stolen away by anyone's legend, and Leave is all alone with Shanks, and he's dead. Kael still alive. Hope, full HP, leading the charge with Tarzan. Tarzan can't. No, he does close out on a kill. And now a hook onto Hope. It's a 3v3. Here we go. Big flash down. Shanks rejoins, and Flandre gets the kill. Doinb running out of HP, flashes away, but it's just Doinb. There's a hook. There's a flash, and Flandre and Shanks clean up the fight. AL never say die.
I did not think it was possible, Yanni, but AL absolutely destroy this fight and get themselves back in control of this game. It's brilliantly played by them. A lot of mistakes coming in from NIP, who just cannot hang on to their lead, but at the end of the day, the smite comes down from Tarzan. They steal away the Otacon and win the fight itself. You are looking at an 11 flower petal lead for AL. You are looking at a ton of gold in the pocket of the main carries. That was really
look
their
at
only
Leave in this
problem.
fight.
And the
look at what
game
happens.
state. Yeah, no. you're absolutely right. Leave is the carry here, and Kael immediately goes in, full engages. Leave has to flash out to stay as safe as possible. He feels like he's in an okay spot with Solokill available, but Shanks just completely separating him by flashing in. Everybody has abandoned their AD carry, and at this point, the fight's not going all that well on the other side either. Tarzan is so strong on this Trundle. This champion is really effective in his role right now. He's able to take down Naiyou on this Wukong, and even with the hook landing onto Hope here, Hope doesn't need to kite. They have so much damage, and there's so little coming in from NIP that he can basically stay in melee range as long as Flandre is eating those Talia Qs, and at this point, very easy to keep going. He even gets hit by another hook just for good measure. It does not matter. AL get themselves back in the driver's seat of this game.
Tabe is tying his belt back up. You know, after AL winning that fight big time, and now we're even on gold. But it feels like, once again, you get around this time of the game and AL just find a way to take over. We have Dragon up on the map. We have Leave once again all alone, only has Cleanse. He'll be able to link up with the rest of his team, but I mean, that fight, losing that is so killer and really takes the wind out of the sails of NIP.
Gold is completely even as this Dragon is started. Shanks is on a huge, huge flank. That could be spotted pretty early here. We will see how NIP want to play.
They have no idea.
Already chunked.
They have no idea right now. Yeah, they have no idea where Shanks is. But Shanks is taking a long time to actually get there. His Dragon is getting low. So is Niket. It's taken by AL. They're on 3 Dragons. Here we go. Shanks on this back line, looking to make plays. And here we go. Everybody is just corralled. It was just enough by Kael. And Shanks is on janitor duty. He cleans up. AL cleans up. 25 minutes into the game. And the world is theirs and the pings are on Baron.
Wouldn't you know it, Yanni? It all it takes is one massive mistake in a fight from NIP for the game to completely shift. It is a terrible setup here for NIP. Even if they get the Dragon, they're in a terrible spot to fight that 5v5 in such an enclosed space. Even with full engaging onto Kael, he gets more than enough of the CC off to win that fight. And now it's not only Dragon, sole point for AL, it's Baron as well, in a game that looked like it was in NIP's control, just like game number 2 has slipped out of their hands as quickly as they got it.
We talked about how Naiyou, because of his gold lead and because NIP didn't really build upon it, he needed to be the guy. He lost the Otacon, he loses this Dragon, and he hasn't been overly impactful in this game ever since he had that lead.
Yeah, it truly is just an unfortunate circumstance. It just comes down, it's a 50-50 completely. I blame that on NIP. Oh. You need to be at least attempting to zone this Tarzan. Everything going wrong for Naiyou in this fight, but as you watch Kael just get full targeted, flash in, get the whole ult off to set up for Shanks, to set up for Flandre. At this point, Hope very easily free hitting on the Wukong on the back line. It just gets harder and harder, and for the first time in this game, AL has a true gold lead to their name, and they are sieging down with Baron bot.
The bell is beginning to toll for NIP, Kman. As remember, we said that AL sieges so well. You've got the poke from the Varus, you got the poke from the Jace, and once Tarzan starts knocking on these turrets, they fall mighty quick.
You have so much range to be able to siege down these turrets. As long as you are able to make sure that you don't make a catastrophic mistake, this should be fine. This could be game. Leave not even here. He's taking that bot lane tier 1. We'll see if AL capitalize on that, but right now their priorities are the inhibitors.
I mean, I think you have to do that if you're Leave, because you need this Hexblade. You need to get your hyper carry online to as many items as possible. I do wonder if there's going to be a final fight in this base, and it looks like Naiyou's going to go for it. Here we go, all on top of Tarzan. They knock him again. They manage to take him down. Here we go, another one. They find Kael. It's a 5v3. To Shanks one more. The poke is there. Shanks getting very close to getting a kill, but he won't. And mercifully, NIP bat away AL.
It's an overstep. That's what you can't really do if you're AL. The right positioning there ends the game. They just don't have it. Tarzan ends up being a little bit too far forward, gets caught by the seismic shove from Doinb, and he goes down. For now, that will just be a bit of a consolation prize. Baron's still active at the very least for the next minute. I don't believe that it will get them too much, but overall, still a good play for NIP and basically equalizes that Baron you gave up.
It's still a lot of map control here for AL with that pushing wave in the mid lane. It is in the mid lane. It could always be worse. Usually in the top lane or bottom lane, it causes a bit more of a problem. They're going to expire in about 30 seconds. We have the next dragon in about a minute 30 as AL are looking for that soul. Remember, one of the biggest problems of AL was they have to run at NIP, and a Cloud Soul will alleviate those issues.
Definitely. That is a huge boon towards AL in this game. And I think the big difference in this game between game number 2 is game number 2 felt so much more hopeless for AL in terms of how they were constructed. This game definitely feels a lot more in their control, and it never really felt like they were out of it. They're just executing better as Tarzan walking in to try and steal away the red will not be successful, but, you know, why not? Everything on the map should be yours at this point. And AL is going to continue to pressure, but you're right, the timer is 1 minute. What can NIP do to set up until then?
And the worst part is, I think if you go all in for it and you lose the fight, the game's over. If you lose the soul, you're put in a really tough spot. It's not immediately over, but it opens the door for so many more plays for AL that will make it hard to kind of sit and wait for an Elder Dragon. That is neither here nor there. That is still a little bit of ways away. 30 seconds, as you said. NIP doing what they can here in the mid lane, here in the bot lane. Their bot side jungle to get more vision down. Try to clear out as much as they can.
They need to do as best as they can to get vision and to deny vision around this area. It's so important for NIP to, at the very least, have the ability to set themselves up correctly. Tarzan gonna take some damage at the start of this fight, but Flandre in the area, basically inconsequential, but that could give NIP the avenue they need to walk up.
Shanks once again on a flank here. A lot of friendly wards. His Sixth Sense will spot out one. So NIP are aware that Shanks is on a flank. Here we go. We're going to have another dragon fight. Niket hook flashes out redemption, but Naiyou is stuck in the pit. Naiyou is low. He's got nowhere to go. He is dead. 5v4. Hook goes wide. NIP are forced to back away, but Shanks says, let's fight! Kael goes in! AL and Flandre drop the hammer down! Doinb being chased by Tarzan. Leave has run out of space, and anyone's legend will take a 2-1 series lead.
Anyone's legend fire back with a vengeance after some tumultuous early games. They're able to close this out and take the lead in this series for the first time.
Wow, Kman. This series has continued to deliver over and over and over again. Another banger, fun, enjoyable game to watch. It's not the cleanest, but sometimes you just gotta accept that the LPL is going to be a little messy at times. And anyone's legend on match point now over NIP, who are fighting for all they're worth.
This is what you sign up for, doing the LPL, watching the LPL, you know, everybody in chat, this is what we want. This is what we have been dreaming of, these back and forth fun series. Yeah, it's not clean. Yeah, it's chaotic. Yeah, there's a lot of problems, but you know what? Like, both of these teams, I think, are showcasing why they're in the playoffs, why these players have so much pedigree behind them, and even if you see some of those mistakes behind them, I think we are seeing some really fun League of Legends here today.
Yeah, it's really tough to see, but I mean, they are at least giving it all they got, and you know, they are one game away from their season ending, their 2025 going out, not with a bang, but with a whimper, Kman. And anyone's legends, like that old junker car that refuses to die, they are still trucking along. I mean, this is just, it's still not the anyone's legend that we really expected to see. I'm gonna be honest, they 3-1 the series, even if they cleanly win game 4, this series does not inspire confidence. Panic meter, where are you at?
I'm worse than I was going into the day. I definitely will say that. I don't feel better about AL right now than I did going in to, you know, the day of games here, but I will say, like, at the very least, this team has shown resilience that they did not show against Weibo, that they did not show against some of their opponents in the regular season when they made these mistakes and got behind against teams like they have against NIP in this series. They've kind of been a team to roll over and die. Not so much here. They're able to keep their composure. And at the very least, I think you're seeing some really big performances out of players like Tarzan and Shanks that needed to step up here today.
Without a doubt. And taking a look at the side of NIP, it's just those fights at the objectives, that Otacon fight that absolutely sunk them. You could see it before it happened. You could see Leaf step up a little bit too far, not be on the same side of his team, and he just knew that he was going to get split up somehow. And I mean, that's all AL had to do was just, you know, find a crack in the citadel that they had around that Otacon, and they exploited it, they split it apart, and when you've been tanking Otacon that long, all that shred, it's just not something that you can survive, and Otacon claims another game for a team. So we take a look at the damage charts. Flandre, a lot of that poke landing. We didn't really talk about him a whole lot, but that poke was good in those fights. Certainly did his thing, but it felt like Shanks' flanks were the ones that really busted this game open.
Yeah, I mean, Shanks was excellent here on the Akali. Truly one of his better games of the tournament up until this point. But that damage chart, I think, does showcase, okay, maybe AL did understand, like, their win condition. Because there were times where it felt a little bit confusing, like, they're Jace Varus. Like, do you understand that you are the poke comp? Like, you need to be able to generate that, tempo, and you need to get to objectives a little bit quicker. Once they started doing that, things became so much easier, and that allowed Shanks to start diving onto the backline. When you're starting every fight with your tanks at half health, all of a sudden an Akali becomes a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, it becomes so hard to really fight through that, and yet again, just another game where NIP has the early lead. They look like the better team, and they just aren't able to convert. And they have this issue at this objective, and the decision making is just not all there. The light's getting a little bit too bright for these guys. But man, I mean, that early game, that first 20 some odd minutes, it was so good. But again, the biggest issue was that they just could not further that lead. That 3,000 gold lead, that's where the stall became the problem.
Let's make it clear, if games ended at 20 minutes, this is a 3-0 NIP. Like, that's just the way that it's gone. AL has had to climb their way back into both of their wins in this series, and that's obviously to the credit of AL, and obviously that's a problem of NIP, but we should give NIP at least some flowers. This team has consistently been able to outplay AL in the early game, and all they really need to do, because they're not out of this series, all they need to do is moments like this, they need to clean this up. If this fight goes slightly different, if the fight in the bot lane from game 2 goes slightly different, we're looking at a completely different series. As much as it can feel like you're dead in the water against the defending champions if you're Ninjas in Pyjamas, you've got 2 more games to push this into upset territory, and you've shown everything you need to show that it showcases that is possible for you.
More big champions getting taken away, Kman. That'll be a fun thing to check out when we go to the Game 4 draft. Kman, who's your MVP for this game?
That's tough, man. There are so many.
I gotta give it to Shanks personally.
I think Shanks. I really want to give a shout out to Kael. I think he was excellent this game on the rel. There were multiple really phenomenal engages coming out from him.
We're gonna see one in just a moment, I think.
Yes, we definitely are going to see another one. So, I mean, this was one where he just lands the full combo. Yes, he dies. Who cares? He gets everything off that he needs to. At least in a moment. I thought we were on the later fight. That is my apologies there, but definitely one of those games where it's just, it's really easy to play when you have such consistent setup, such good poke, and then great follow through with Shanks. It's everybody doing their part.
Now, honestly, I think the featured matchup of that game was Naiyou versus that wall at the Dragon. That was 2 times he was not able to go over the wall. The more I see these fights and the more I think about that game, the more I'm with you on the Kael MVP vote. I think if he gave it to Shanks, it would be totally fine. But, supports need love too. And he certainly was a big glue guy here. It just feels like because, Shanks made that play at the Otacon that killed Leave and really felt like that was the turning point of the game. And he had that big flank a couple of times, a couple big flanks that were really exclamation points, that it's a little flashier. That could be why. But I'm with you. If either of those two, I'm happy. We're good. These are ethical MVPs.
Yes, ethical MVPs indeed. I think basically everybody on AL really performed well down the stretch. We will see who gets it, though. It's going to be Shanks. So, Flash wins. We've learned that. You make the flashy plays, you win player of the game. I can't be mad at Shanks winning this. He had multiple pop-off team fights. The Shanks flanks in this game were absolutely massive, and his Akali has really been a really big boost, I would say, to AL over the course of this run.
Without a doubt, Kman, and now NIP backs against the wall, season on the line, year on the line, going into Game 4. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we return, AL looking to finish off the series while NIP trying to stay alive. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.